everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Dallas Reppin 52, Ray Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens.
As always, on the other half, Brendan Reppin 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks.
We got a really great episode for you guys this week. WNBA playoffs kicked off, so we're going to talk some of that. Week 3 of college football and week 2 of the NFL. So obviously we'll get into both the Ravens and the Seahawks, plus our games of the week and any other thoughts we had this week. All kinds of things we are going to talk about. What we are not going to talk about is political bullshit. I know that was a topic of conversation among NFL fans this week as NFL teams chose to recognize certain things. We're not going to talk about it. This is not a politics show. It's a football show. It's a sports show. We're going to keep the main thing the main thing. Please don't ask us about it. That's it. So we are going to jump right into the WNBA. They did give out a couple of their awards following the end of the regular season. So just a couple of things. Paige Buchers was named Rookie of the Year. No surprise to anyone. She did have a great rookie season. Tied most points in a single game. Great season. Obviously, kind of disappointing for the Wings, but hopefully next year they can kind of build around Paige and what they did this year. So congratulations to her. The Valkyries took home 2 awards. Head coach Natalie Nakase named Coach of the Year, as she's the first coach to get a franchise team to the playoffs their first year. That's pretty impressive. So definitely deserving. So congrats to her. And guard Veronica Burton was named Most Improved Player. She definitely saw her playing time and her role expanded as injuries and things like that occurred throughout the season. So congratulations to her. Congratulations to them. Any other news that comes up, we will obviously talk about it. And then we had game 1 of playoffs in the WNBA. Round 1 is a best of 3 series. So the number 1 seed, the Minnesota Lynx, drew the Valkyries. Pretty unfortunate for the Valkyries.
Yeah, that looks.
I think it will be a short playoff berth. I did watch this game. The Valkyries are just not equipped to deal with the Lynx. This is their 3rd or 4th meetup this year. They've all looked relatively like this. Great that they made the playoffs.
That score line says it all.
That game 1 ended 101-72. Is very lopsided. I don't know that I expect it to be a sweep. We'll see how Minnesota handles their rest and things like that going into game 2. But I expect at minimum this series to go 2-1 Lynx. The Atlanta Fever drew the Atlanta Dream. Indiana Fever drew Atlanta Dream. Dream do take game 1, 80-68. They do go to Indiana for game 2. I kind of think Indiana comes out on top on that one, that home court. It's going to be very loud. Even with Caitlin Clark not playing, she's still going to draw an audience. So we'll see. New York Liberty drew the Mercury with the win, 76-69. Liberty, I would expect to win that series. Aces drew the Storm, 102-77. It's another one. I expect the Aces to handle that. They play round 2 or game 2 today and tomorrow. That's Tuesday and Wednesday. So good luck to all of them. And hopefully it's just a good playoffs. If you're still struggling to get into the WNBA, playoffs is a great time. It's just kind of elite basketball. These games matter a lot, and you get to kind of see the best of the best And that's really what competitive sports is about. I understand not wanting to watch terrible teams play a sport you enjoy. I struggled this week with my favorite sport, and we're going to talk about that when we get there, but it does happen. So if you just want great competitive basketball, this is the week to watch.
Fair
Alrighty,
enough.
well, we will kick it to college football as they had week 3 of their season.
Yeah. I watched a lot of college football this week. I don't know about you. Um,
I
so I have
watched a couple games,
a,
not as much as I would have liked.
so I have quite a few games to talk about. We'll start with Texas A&M Notre Dame. That was the night game on Saturday. Watch that one. Obviously, I've said I'm a Notre Dame fan, so unfortunate result. Texas A&M gets the win, 41-40, um, on a last-minute touchdown. Notre Dame has not been good this year, and I'm not surprised. Like, as a Notre Dame fan, I'm pretty sure both their offensive and defensive coordinators were both taken elsewhere. I think they both got NFL jobs to be offensive and defensive coordinators, so that's not great. They had a lot of people graduate. They're running with a freshman quarterback. Notre Dame's just probably not going to be very good this year, which is unfortunate considering they went to the national championship of last year. But this is kind of the new college football where if you're not getting transfers, you're probably not going to succeed. And Notre Dame just didn't get a transfer at the most important position, and it does not seem they're going to succeed. Um, it is unfortunate. It did come down to Notre Dame missing an extra point because their holder dropped the ball. It's unfortunate. Not great for the holder. Did feel bad because every chance they got, they would show him on the sidelines, and that's just not the place you want to be. Um, so it feels bad, but also do your job. You're there for one reason, and it's to hold.
Yeah.
Um, so that's unfortunate. I will say the refereeing in this game was questionable. I'm not gonna blame the refs, but on Texas A&M's touchdown, there was an obvious holding, and I mean just dude tackles the defensive tackle to the ground. So not great for the refs there, but at the end of the day, again, not blaming the refs. There are reasons Notre Dame was in this position in the first place. So good game though. Was a pretty was close all the way through. And again, last minute touchdown to win it is always kind of fun to watch. So that was all good there. The second game I watched was Oregon Northwestern. That was big noon kickoff. Um, that was not a good game. Oregon kind of just kicked the shit out of them from the beginning. Um,
Yeah.
Oregon's definitely seems like a real contender this year. Um, I don't know if they'll play anybody in the regular season that's super highly ranked, but if they do and we get to see them go against real competition, we might see Oregon be a legit contender this year, which I feel like they are every year and then just fall short. So we'll see with Oregon.
Yeah.
But when you're beating Northwestern 34-14, it's like you were supposed to.
Kind of what you're supposed to do.
Um, and then probably the best game of the week, the game that was the closest and I think was the best, was Georgia Tennessee. Um, this game
I
ended
watched that game.
44-41 in overtime. This
Yeah.
game was great from start to finish. Um, obviously, Georgia got the win, but Tennessee really fought for this win. They were leading at several points in the game, but I think Georgia just kind of proved why they're Georgia. It didn't matter what the score was, what the situation was. I felt like Georgia just played better situational football. Like when it mattered the most, Georgia got it done, pretty much.
Yeah. When I had watched Tennessee, I was like, they seem like a good team, but I'm not sure when they play higher ranked teams if some of the issues we saw were going to pop up. If it would keep them from competing with better elite teams. The fact that they hung in, they had the lead at multiple points, I was impressed. Yeah, I wasn't shocked that Georgia got the win, but I was definitely surprised at how well and how tough Tennessee kept it, and taking it to overtime. So I think if you're a Tennessee fan, well, yes, you got the loss.
There's a lot of
This was a
positive.
great game, and there was a lot of positive things that came out of it. And I think this is a really great game to show what that organization is building on and building towards.
Yeah. The next game I watched was Vanderbilt, South Carolina. This was one of the upsets of the week. Uh, this Vanderbilt team seems different. Vanderbilt's not normally a football school. They're not. They're not up there with the Alabamas, the Georgias, these other really big time football schools. But this year just kind of feels different for Vanderbilt. They just beat number 11 South Carolina 31-7. Now South Carolina did lose their quarterback right before the half, so that sucked. But at the same time, Vanderbilt was winning at that point, and I think they just kind of continued what they were doing in that first half. Diego Pavia, the quarterback for Vanderbilt, looks great. His connection with his receivers and the tight end Eli Stowers is fantastic, and that defense is playing better than I think anybody would ever thought from Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt came into the season relying more on their offense, and their defense has been doing enough for the offense to come out there and ball out. So Vanderbilt is a really fun team to watch this year. Kind of excited to keep watching them. I imagine they'll be ranked here. They're ranked 20th now after that win. If they keep this up, I think the sky's the limit for them. It'll be really fun to watch. They're kind of the Cinderella story for right now this year that I'm kind of pulling for. So that's fun. And then the last game I watched was Clemson Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech gets the upset 24-21 to start their season 3-0. Clemson, who everyone was billing as including myself, I even said this prior to the season. I had them as one of my national champion favorites. I thought with them returning a good quarterback and an NFL defensive line that they would be a really good team. They're not showing it right now. They're 1-2. Their one win I think was pretty ugly against. Their one win was against Troy. Not a powerhouse by any means. You lost to LSU, who LSU's a good team, but I feel like you didn't show a ton against them. And the Georgia Tech was unranked going into the week and hadn't shown great things, but now, man, with this win, I think Georgia Tech will jump up a bit, and with this loss, Clemson should be worried. That's a rough loss to have.
I think my favorite part of the LSU game was the head coach's post-game press conference. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Um, that was
Didn't watch it, so can't speak on his press conference.
You should. Um,
I will consider it.
Obviously, they get the win, but it was a kind of a rough outing. Reporters, asked about that, asked about some of the struggles they've had, and he proceeded to yell about how dare they ask that kind of question when they got the win, and it's they got the win against an SEC team. So what do the reporters want from him and from the team? And just kind of hauled off for about 2 minutes. Um,
All right. Fair enough, Kelly.
it was interesting. Uh, they're allowed to ask questions.
They're allowed,
Kind of their job.
especially when there is concerning things that you're showing that are
Yeah.
like, hey, you won the game, congrats, you did well enough to win. But can you comment on your quarterback throwing? I don't think he threw any
Yeah.
interceptions, but like that's what you hear a lot is your quarterback threw 2 interceptions. That's concerning. They're allowed to question that.
I'm allowed to ask that. And so I think
That's fun. It's funny.
it was just I think Brian Kelly was expecting a little bit more praise. And that's not how reporting works.
Yeah.
So, because while they did get the win, it definitely exposed some holes. And when you face higher ranked teams, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
And if you don't have an answer to that, maybe that's more telling.
The react. I haven't watched it. Maybe I'll watch it and come back to you next week. But based on what you're saying, if you're gonna react like that's more concerning than just the game. Like having concerns for the game, because if you react that way, then I don't feel like you're going to address the concerns from the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it shows that like you don't think there was a problem, that you thought the game went great,
Went
and the only thing that matters is that you got the win.
went perfectly, and I think any coach at any time will tell you it doesn't matter if you win 75-0. There's something you can improve upon. Um, so I think that kind of mindset that he might have been going for, I think, is dangerous for this LSU team. But again, I haven't actually watched the video yet. I'll try to watch it and come back to you next week with my thoughts,
That's fair.
just to see.
And then the only other game I watched that we didn't already talk about was Alabama Wisconsin. I'm watching like so much Alabama football, it's crazy. And I'm only half sure as to why. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was a decent game. Obviously, Alabama gets the win, 38-14. They have a real problem. They have a real problem at offensive coordinator. I know
Wow.
that you
Wow.
have many thoughts on that regard,
Who
and
could
I
have told
know,
you?
and I know that we've talked about it extensively, and we will probably continue to.
Who could have
Um,
who could have predicted
it's
this one?
it's the most uncreative offense I've ever seen in my life. The Dolphins have a more creative offense at this point, and they look like the Australian breakdancers. So, just so we're clear,
I didn't think we'd get a reference like that at this point, but that's pretty good.
um,
I
the O line clearly is not up to par. It's not, and we just keep running the ball up the middle of the O line, and amazingly enough, it's not effective.
so
Their quarterback is decent, plays well off script when things begin to break down, but it's not schemed well. It's not called well. Um, they have a real problem.
so
So while they get the win, I don't think this is going to be a great season for Bama.
I think the real issue with Ryan Grubb's offense is nothing is connected. See, you know
Yeah,
when you watch like a good offensive coordinator, you watch a play, and then that play sets up the next play. So maybe you'll
yeah,
run to the right, and you'll get the defense leaning that way, and the next play looks like a run to the right, and then you bootleg to the left. You get the defense flowing one way to go back the other.
Yeah.
Good offense coordinators tend to make plays that stack on each other.
Yeah.
That way, the defense kind of never gets an idea. Ryan Grubb doesn't understand how to do that. Doesn't understand how to set plays up
Yeah.
with other plays. And even even if your run to the right fails, it can still be useful to set up other plays in the future. And I just don't think he understands that concept of using plays to set up other plays. And I think that's his main flaw.
There's no identity when you watch this team. There's no offensive identity. There's no plan. We're just picking plays out of thin air.
And
then we run the same one back to back to back to back, leading to a 3 and out because amazingly enough, you don't have the talent to run the ball up the middle. And it was just.
And with Seattle, it was almost the opposite. He refused to create a run. I think he just isn't good at making run games. I'm gonna be honest, like scheming up the run. And I think his time in Washington, where he was hired in Seattle because of his time in Washington and what that offense did. But I think it was very different because I think he had NFL talent on that entire offense. He had Michael Penix at quarterback. He's an NFL he is now an NFL quarterback and looks decent in the NFL. NFL talent. His left and right tackle now both start in the NFL. One is a Raven, one is a Steeler, I believe. NFL talent. All three wide receivers on that team were taken before the 4th round, I believe. It's
Yeah.
Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, Rome Odunze was a 1st-round pick. Jalen Polk was a 2nd-round pick. And then McMillan was I believe, 3rd-round pick. All three still in the NFL contributing. Other than McMillan and Polk are both hurt this year, which is a little funny. But that offense was littered with NFL talent.
And it's clearly not this year.
And I think that's why it succeeded. Is you had an NFL quarterback with NFL receivers, so yeah, you could throw the ball downfield 50 times a game, and your receivers and your quarterback are going to win it. I think he just doesn't have the adaptability you want from an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It is going to be.
That's a fair point.
We are going to see this way, and if this way doesn't work, we're not going to succeed.
Yeah. And that's, even in the wins, that's evident. It remains true.
And it's sad that it looks the same as the Seahawks did last year in a way.
Yeah. Especially because I remember last year you saying, you thought this is what made him a good college coordinator, but not a good NFL coordinator. So to go back to college and continue to struggle is crazy to me.
Yeah, I wonder if it's now a confidence thing because of the NFL, but it's just not great. It is not great. Could have told you that when you hired him, but whatever.
I just want to know how we get jobs because I think we would do better than some of the people currently with jobs. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't think I could be a coach in the NFL. I don't think I got the.
Maybe a coach, but maybe a consultant.
A consultant, maybe.
But maybe someone to yell, "What are you doing?"
Someone to be like, "Can you just stop doing this? It hasn't worked." Let's try something else.
Yeah, let's try literally anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. But some of these coordinators, man, need to figure it out. Need to figure it out quickly.
Well, I do think that wraps it up for college football.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm getting more into it. You continue to watch it, so we will keep talking about them every week. It has been fun.
Hasn't been fun having to root for sucky teams, but
I'm getting better at knowing the differences, the different nuances of college and NFL. So that's been good. I was kind of looking over some of the scores for the games I didn't watch, and my God, your school sucks. It's fucking crazy.
Oh, just wait till next week. If that team beat us like that this week, next week is gonna be a fucking shit show. We suck. We suck at football. We are terrible. Now, if you really want to watch something funny, look up my school's head coach comments about something. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Because it'll give it away. But I'll have to find the video for you because he said some shit on television in an interview at halftime. So, have to find that for you. But yeah, my school sucks. It is what it is. We move on. You know.
That's all right. Alrighty. Yeah. Well, then we will move on. We will move into the NFL, which had week 2 of their season. Rough week. Rough week for quarterbacks.
Rough week.
Not looking great.
Rough week for injuries, really.
Yeah.
When we're not gonna
Carson Wentz, Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota. There was another one. Browning are all prepared to start next week.
And we're gonna. I think the game we're gonna get next week is gonna be electric. Carson Wentz versus Baron Browning is gonna be just fantastic football all the way around. Let's get into it. We'll start with the injuries, and then we'll get into some of the better news in terms of just things. First injury we'll talk about is Austin Eckler sadly tore his Achilles and will be done for the season. So that's a big part of the Washington Commanders offense done for the year. Really unfortunate. You could kind of just tell in the moment. It was that classic put his foot in the ground to change directions and he hits the turf. And I think everybody kind of just knew because we're all used to seeing the same thing is when your leg is pointing a certain way and you go to move and you just hit the ground. Everybody kind of knows. Well, there's his Achilles done. That's this season. It looked very similar to like what Tyrese Halliburton did. It just sucks, but hopefully he'll come back next year. But
it is unfortunately how most of those look. It's why we know immediately, right? You go to take the step back, go to bring that leg forward, and all of a sudden they go, "Oh, I can't,"
and they just fall like a sack of potatoes.
Yeah. So it's why experts on the internet.
It's why non-experts can.
We just know that. There went the Achilles.
It's why me and Dallas can sit there on our couch with no medical experience whatsoever and go, he just popped his Achilles, he's done. Now, obviously, we're speculating, but I think we're like 90% on our guess that, he just popped his Achilles.
I thought I saw a confirmed report that it was.
It is. I just didn't have it. Yeah, it's confirmed that he tore his Achilles and he's done for the year. So, it's unfortunate, but hopefully he'll come back. That's a big part of that Commanders offense.
Yeah.
For what he does, not only in the ground game, but really in the passing game. He's one of the better pass-catching running backs in the league. So, really unfortunate.
Well, and Jaden is currently expected to be out next week with a knee injury.
With a sprain.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to be a major injury. Really sucks for my fantasy team. Hopefully Drake May can have another good game. But, not great. Continuing with the injury theme, Jaden Reed, the wide receiver for the Packers, broke his collarbone I don't have a timeline for this, and honestly, I think that's because the Packers don't really have a timeline. Because a broken collarbone's a tough one. It depends on how badly he broke it. It depends on a lot of things. I don't expect him to be back quickly. I expect this to be
Yeah,
at least a month, probably more.
maybe longer.
Um, if we get any more information, I will definitely bring that when we get it. But yeah, I expect him to be done for a little bit. Next is definitely unfortunate. Justin Fields has been confirmed to be going through concussion protocol. He did leave the game with the concussion. Concussion protocol is kind of 50-50 on whether they will play the week or not. It just depends on how quickly they get out of it. Most teams nowadays, though, do tend to sit you for a week. That's just kind of
After the
Tua.
Tua situation, they tend to, and I'm a big advocate for
Sit the
take at least a week, even if you make it through concussion protocol. Um,
I feel
it's
like
just safer.
it should be like a week for every concussion you've had that season. But
Yeah,
Justin Fields has
yeah,
not had a
probably.
Justin Fields has not had a history of concussions in the NFL, so for him to sit a week kind of makes sense. I
Yeah,
guess we'll see what the Jets decide to do and whether he clears protocol before the game anyway. Um, so yeah, unfortunate for the Jets, but also he was not good against the Bills, so
no,
we'll see
it wasn't great.
what they decide.
It wasn't great.
I think someone said it. He had his career best day followed by his career worst
Career worst. Yeah.
in the span of
And
7 days.
what's crazy is the concussion wildly unfortunate. But at one point the other quarterback cracked his face open
Yeah,
and is just bleeding profusely everywhere. And they still whooped on them.
yeah.
So it's just the Jets.
The Jets
I
are.
know that the Steelers game gave fans some hope,
I think they're.
but
I think they're dashing.
I think this team is just, it still needs some time.
Yeah, it needs a lot of time. Really unfortunate, but it needs some time. The next injury is Joe Burrow has been confirmed to have turf toe, so he suffered a grade 3 tear. Um, and turf toe doesn't sound like a bad injury, but when you look it up and what it actually is,
It's bad.
it's awful. It's awful. So he has his grade 3 tear for it. He is probably going to be sidelined for a minimum of 3 months. I guess we'll see if it's longer. But this is a bad injury, and he's going to be done. Probably, we'll see how their season's going.
I would be shocked. I mean, I guess if they're on the verge of playoffs or they're
Yeah,
in the playoffs,
if they're in the
um,
hunt,
they have the luck, right, of having a very easy schedule this week. And Browning has proved to be a competent backup.
but
However, they don't play historically well against their division, and that has now gotten harder.
yeah, this one's tough, but it's also like, what are you gonna do?
And
He's hurt
I
almost every year at this
again,
point.
he has not had 2 healthy years in a row. Yeah, since the beginning of his career.
I thought this one might have been different because he got the preseason in him. That did not seem to matter. You get the preseason where you're taking hits, but I wonder if that is part of it.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
his
just
body is just injury prone at this point.
It's starting
I
to look that way.
know that I'm not commenting. I'm not trying to talk badly about him. I know I've made my opinions on Joe Burrow very clear. But at some point, it can't all always be the O-line. They
And don't get
have
me
put a
wrong,
lot of resources into that offense. At some point, you have to play within the confines of what your team can do. And if your team cannot handle you holding onto the ball that long, if your team cannot handle you standing in the pocket waiting and waiting for the ball to be put somewhere, you have to adjust. That is the quarterback's job.
yeah, well, this is a tough one, but yeah, at this point, questions are starting to get asked on whether this is him or this is something else. But him gone for 3 months, I think, does kind of spell the end for the Bengals season. Like,
Probably.
it's tough to even because I have heard some rumors. There are just rumors, but it does kind of make sense. Even if they go out and trade for Jameis Winston or a Kirk Cousins or somebody like that, which I don't think they can afford Kirk Cousins, but you get the point. A, an actual legit starter that just happens to be a backup right now, even that I don't think is going to get the job done.
Yeah.
Like, it might make it so that when Joe Burrow could be starting to make his comeback, you are in the hunt, but I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't. I
I
wonder
don't
if it's.
see a way that it is.
I think it might be.
Because
It might just have to be time for the Bengals to sit Joe for the year and
yeah,
hope that maybe a year of just not playing football, letting his body just be done for a little bit, especially when you consider that this isn't actually like the last time he took a year off was he had a legit ACL tear injury that he was never coming back from. This one, 3 months and you're back to like working out and doing stuff, you can get your body more right than like an ACL tear. So I wonder if that is something they could consider. It's just gonna have to be a wait and see, though.
we shall see.
I think it'll just depend on how their season is going.
Yeah.
And then the last significant injury was JJ McCarthy has been ruled out for Sunday's game versus the Bengals due to a high ankle sprain. Um, I think he has a high ankle sprain, but I also think this is the Vikings way of you're not ready, sit your ass down.
Yeah.
And I think the Vikings are regretting letting Darnold walk at this point in time. I'm not saying this from a McCarthy's going to suck. I think it's just clear that this team and where they want to be is contender, and McCarthy is the one spot truly holding them back. And I think that, I trust, I think he has an injury. I think there is an ankle
Yeah.
sprain, but something tells me it's not
It's not that it happened
so quickly.
so quickly. Like most people
Like Jaden Daniels, for example, has not been ruled out with his
out.
MCL,
He just does have
an MCL
an
sprain,
injury, so they are prepared to start Mariota.
but they're waiting for the
Most
practice.
most ankle sprains, they go, yeah, he did tweak it. We'll see how the week goes.
There,
to announce it
right after the game.
like an hour
This
after the game, be
happened.
like, he's out for next week.
Well, they announced it
How
Monday.
can you know that?
They announced it Monday morning after playing
Like,
Sunday Night Football.
yeah. Like you can't possibly know
Unless
that he's
it's
not going to be ready.
unless it's worse than they're making it seem. That's the other
But
possibility.
then you would be like, he's out for this week and he's week to week at this point.
Yeah.
So I believe there is an injury.
But I
I
also
believe he will be a solid quarterback in the NFL.
but my
The
God.
talent is there and he stays calm. But there is still really, he is a rookie.
And we're seeing
And
the slowness of the rookie.
yeah.
And that's really the
And
problem.
and he's not quite processing at the speed he needs to be to make decisions and things like that. And that takes time. Right? Not everybody comes in and gets it off the bat. But this team is built to win now. And I think the hope is if you give him a week to not have to worry about starting, just work on some cleanup stuff, that then he'll be good moving forward. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but I guess we'll definitely wait and see.
Yeah.
Type thing. On to slightly better news. We'll get into some of the other breaking news that happened this week. Some contract signed, a trade was made, so we'll get into that. The Patriots are trading Jalen Polk and a 2028 seventh to the Saints for a 2027 sixth. Jalen Polk is on season-ending IR, so he will not play this year. It's not like frowned upon to trade people on IR. It just rarely happens. So this is actually a really, really interesting trade from that perspective. Of the Saints are kind of betting on what he is next year when he comes back from this injury. And I've said that the Saints shouldn't be trading picks, but I think this is one that I think was a good move.
Yeah.
Jalen Polk was a second round pick 2 years ago. No, last year. This was going to be a second season in the NFL prior to the injury. I think this made a ton of sense. I think this is a pretty solid move from the Saints. Only giving up a sixth for somebody that has second round talent is a really solid move.
Yeah.
Not really sure what the Patriots are doing with this one, but I guess if you had no conviction he was going to be on your team long term, get whatever you can out of him, I guess. I'm not sure, but I also don't run the Patriots, so
Yeah.
and sometimes it's hard to argue with what the Patriots do. Like
I think right now
you can argue, but it is what it is. And then a couple of contract extensions happened. The Cowboys extended guard Tyler Smith to a 4-year, $96 million extension. He is now the highest paid guard, I believe. Yeah, highest paid guard in the NFL. Since trading Micah Parsons, the Cowboys have decided to extend everybody. So I guess good for them. I don't go you. I don't really.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't.
Did you see their other signing?
I did. I was gonna get there.
Okay.
The Cowboys are
just making sure
staying in our news because they have signed Jadeveon Clowney to a 1-year deal. I get it. Jadeveon Clowney has been decent in his time in the NFL, and bringing him in on a 1-year deal, I think, is great. Like At the end of the day, Jadeveon Clowney is a good player. Getting him on your team is a good thing. I would have been all right if he landed with the Seahawks. I don't know if you would have minded him on the Ravens.
Especially right now. Especially after this week. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah. So, he's a good player. I just think your thought process of he's going to replace Micah Parsons is flawed. And that's why you made the signing.
I understand him, and we'll probably talk more about this game. I understand thinking the Cowboys are closer than they are. And that the piece missing is a pass rush. The defense is not good. It's not good. And yes, you need a pass rush. Jadeveon Clowney, I think, in right systems, is a great pass rusher. However, he has not been present in anybody's training camp.
Yeah.
He has not been present for anyone's offseason. And he has missed the first 2 weeks of football. So while I'm not saying he's out of shape, he is not necessarily in football shape. And when you sign players like that, oftentimes they get hurt or they underperform. That's just the reality. It's not a bias. I like Clowney. I was hoping he was going to return to the Ravens. He decided to go play for the Panthers. God only knows what fueled that fucking decision because that was a train wreck. But
being from South Carolina.
Yeah, well, maybe
Still
put your career first. Anyway, I like Clowney. I think he's a great pass rusher. I just don't think that's going to work the way you're hoping it will.
I think really the problem is it's going to be a solid couple of weeks before you truly see an impact from him. And even if you see an impact from him, what is it going to be?
And right now, you don't have time.
Yeah.
If you want to compete in your division,
if you want to compete,
you don't have time.
And right now, if you want to compete in that conference, you don't have time. Like, we'll talk more about them later, but the Packers look unstoppable.
The Packers look phenomenal.
It's going to be a problem. And now I want to kill Jerry Jones. Man, that's a little harsh. I want Jerry Jones to lose to the Packers so badly that he realizes the mistake he made. Because, goddamn.
Yeah.
The Packers are going to kill him. But we'll see. The last couple things. Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive tackle for the Titans, has gotten a revised contract that gives him a raise this season. I think it's a little over $500,000 he's going to get. So, it's nice, but, I don't really care. But it was something that happened that I felt was a little interesting. Because I feel like you rarely see that happen at this point in the season. And then we'll talk more about the Colts later, because the Colts are very interesting. But there was a little fact that was posted the other day. They are the first team in the Super Bowl era to have not punted in their first 2 games.
Yep.
And I don't...
It's crazy.
And Daniel Jones hasn't turned the ball over. And I don't think that team has turned the ball over.
Nope.
So, we're seeing a historic offense from the least expected offense possible.
Here's the question. Here's the real question. Is Daniel Jones better than we ever thought? Or is Anthony Richardson that terrible?
I don't know. I think
because I know, right, while I like Daboll and I do think he's a good coach, not every quarterback works with every coach. You and I had this discussion of, if you even took the elite quarterbacks now and you swapped their coaching, what it would look like. And not all of them work together, right?
Yeah.
So maybe Jones just works better with Steichen. It's fair. It's valid.
I think
Possible.
I
But to
think
be doing this well, like,
I
what
honestly
has happened?
I think it's a bit of both. I think the real answer is that Jones is better than we were giving him credit, and I think we saw this in New York that one season. Is he can be good, but I think he's now been put into a system that is hiding a lot of his flaws while raising some of his best like attributes.
Qualities.
And I think this
And it,
system is predicated around a quarterback that can not necessarily read a field, because I think that's like Jones is good at reading the field, but he's not good at then decision making in a way. And I think him being able to read the field and just make plays right now is what's getting them wins. It's very tough to say, but I think Anthony Richardson just isn't built for the system.
that's
Anthony
fair.
Richardson's built for a Lamar Jackson system, for a system that highlights his rushing ability. Maybe not Lamar Jackson, but maybe like a Josh Allen system that highlights his extreme athleticism rather than his actual ability to play quarterback and
Yeah.
his mental. I think this system is a lot more on the mental side than it is the physical side. And Daniel Jones is succeeding. I don't know. This is really tough, and I think it's a bit of both. But I also think
I
that
mean, at the end of
this,
the day, congratulations to him. I
yeah,
You got the opportunity to show that you are capable. And so far, you are more than rising to the challenge.
I do find it interesting, and people are saying this, and I think it is fair. But the last 3 seasons, I think it's even because you had Geno, Flacco, because Geno skip a year, Darnold, and then now Jones. I think is how it's working. Where quarterbacks leave the state of New York, spend some time elsewhere, end up in a situation and succeed. I think we're seeing that
Yeah.
more and more at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it is at least not the Jets this time. The Jets can take solace in that, I guess.
It is not the Jets.
So good for them, I guess. Good for the Jets. This time it's not you who has a
Yeah,
quarterback
right. This time you're not the problem.
coming back and succeeding. So yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. I hear a lot of people calling him the next Sam Darnold. Let's. I think we should wait a couple weeks before making decisions on
Yeah.
quarterback. We're 2 weeks into the season.
Well, and let's calm down. Because I don't think anybody went into the season with less pressure on them than
Then
Daniel Jones. Let's not just immediately add it. You know what I mean? Let's just chill.
And again, we're 2 weeks into the season. Sam Darnold played 18 games last year.
Yeah.
There's a significant sample size difference.
Yeah.
And I will say, Daniel Jones did just do this to one of the better defenses in the league, in my opinion, on paper. So there could be stuff said, but
yeah,
we'll see.
100%.
The Colts might be an
let's
interesting watch.
let's give the guy some time.
Could be an interesting watch. But that's really it for the breaking news.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, some unfortunate news. Some contract news. Always a plethora this time of year.
Well, never mind. There's one more thing to add. We have another season-ending injury.
Oh, Jesus.
Kalijah Cansey tore his pec and will miss the rest of the season. This happened last night during the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Atlanta Falcons game. Tore his pec.
Nope. Bucks and Texans game.
Texans, yep. What did I say, Falcons?
Yep.
That was last week.
That was last week.
Yeah. Bucks-Texans game. Tore his pec and will be done for the season. So that's really unfortunate. Big piece on the Texans, or the Buccaneers defense
Yeah,
going down.
that's rough. It was a really good game, though.
It was a good game. We'll talk about it a little later, but good game.
Alrighty, well then let's get into all of the games for the week. Let's talk about them. We will start with the Ravens as always. They get the win over the Browns, 41-17. If y'all watched my prediction, or not my prediction, my preview video, I got the Browns score right. I said 17 for the Browns. I had the Ravens coming in at 30, so they overachieved just a smidge. I do think 41 was kind of an important number. I think when the time came that was a possibility, rather than just try and kill clock, it was important to them to get 41. As we all know, last week they lost 40-41 against the Bills. Obviously, would have had 41, but Loop had the unfortunate missed PAT. So I think this week it was kind of meant to be a redemption for everybody. So let's get into the game. Offense. I'm scared. And I know if you're watching this, you're about to be mad because I'm going to be very critical of this team, even though they just posted 41 points. The O-line continues to be a problem. And Falele is that problem. He is straight up not engaged on plays. If he does not have a defender right in front of him, he's just standing there. The problem with that, and I know that I made comments on Burrow, and we are going to kind of wrap around to that. The problem when you are the O-line for Lamar Jackson is you have to stay engaged as long as he does. And that is a long fucking time. He averages more scramble time than any other quarterback in the NFL. Because he is capable of doing it. So the 3-second drop back pass is not enough. You have to be prepared for him to run around the pocket, escape the pocket, come back into the pocket, and do all the shit. That's why sometimes when you watch the game, you'll see his left tackle end up on the right side of the field. His center will end up 10 yards down the field because Lamar's holding on to him. You have to be prepared for that. Now, in some instances, the quarterback has to adapt to the O-line they have. And Lamar has done that. If you're also wondering why Lamar isn't running, there's no designed quarterback runs. He ran once last week. And it was designed run. It's because he does not trust in that O-line. It's very clear. It's very apparent. It's a problem. This is what makes the Ravens the Ravens. This is what makes Lamar Lamar. You have to stay engaged. Plays where he's not doing anything, it's a problem. You're a guard for the most mobile quarterback in the NFL. Do something. Literally anything. Ball security continues to be a struggle. Derrick Henry once again had a ball punched out. Mark Andrews had a ball punched out. These are problems that need dealt with. Have to hold on to the ball. We will face better defenses than the Browns, than the Bills. Cannot have these things. This week got lucky, and it didn't equal turnovers. That will not always be true. I was much happier with the play calling this week. I was much happier with the chances we did and did not take in terms of fourth down. Thought we kind of pulled our head out of our ass in that regard. Obviously, I would like more Lamar running. However, that is not something historically he does well against the Browns. And with this O-line, I get it. I know the big story right now is the ball carriers for the Ravens and who's catching passes. Mark Andrews has played 88% of the snaps. He is on the field, but he's currently being used as an extra blocker. A big part of that is due to the current absence of Ricard. We saw something similar last year when they had O-line struggles. Mark tends to fall more into the pass blocking rather than ball catcher because of his build and his strength. That's why we see when Likely's around, tends to catch more. In Likely's absence, they have elevated Bullock twice from the practice squad. Lamar's tried to kind of throw to him. It's not going well. But Devontae Welker playing great. 3 targets, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. That's hard to argue with. It's hard to disagree with. We're seeing more from Wallace. D-Hop, in case anyone's confused by that, he is on a snap count right now. That's why you only see him in big moments. Had great catches, obviously helping move the ball down the field. He looks as good as he ever has. He is the definition of a great 50-50 go ball guy. I'm still a little confused about how we've transitioned Bateman into more of a route runner than the deep ball. I didn't think we would just give it all to D-Hop, but that currently seems to be what we've done. I do kind of hope and expect when Ricard returns to see a more traditional breakdown of the ball carriers, but right now that is why it looks a little weird. And Mark Andrews has to hold on to the ball. That would be helpful. That'd be great. Defense. Better. Much, much better. But still not great. Here's the thing. Didn't give up the lead, right? So great. No stupid penalties. Great. Marlon Humphreys was called back. It was still stupid. There's no need for that. When the quarterback is sliding, that's them giving up. Ball's dead. You do not then need to ram your head into his chest. Stupid. Stupid. Got to see for the first time replay assist take away a flag. That was interesting. That is what happened. I thought it could have gone either way. I don't think it was as forceful. It usually draws unnecessary roughness. He also did not make contact with the neck or head. Still wasn't necessary. That's the thing this team needs to avoid, is the penalties. They did play 4 quarters of football. That's what we need. Not 3.5, not 3, 4. Full quarters. The whole game. Now, technically, they played like 3 3/4, but that's because Harbaugh pulled some of the starters on defense. On one hand, had anyone gotten hurt, I would be on here yelling, why were they even out there? On the other hand, this team I think, needed to prove that they could play 4 quarters. They could finish strong. So I was a little annoyed at the call. I do get it. I do, from a logical standpoint, agree with it. No reason for them to be out there and get hurt. But also, 4 quarters! That's how long football is. 4. Still better, though. But this is not a good team. The Browns are not a good team.
No.
They put so many points, I don't remember the number, I'm sorry, on the Bengals, right? It wasn't that far off from the Ravens. And the Bengals have a bad defense. So the fact that the Ravens held them to 17 does not make me think all of the problems are fixed. What it does tell me is we put in that effort. We had a more mature defense out there with the lack of penalties. And this game was very important. The amount of criticism coming towards Harbaugh and Zach Orr, the players spent the entire week taking accountability, saying it's not them, it's us. The only way to prove that was to go out there and be better and to do better. And at the end of the day, that's what they did. So I'm glad. I definitely saw a more mature defense. Look great. Obviously, turnovers is a big point of pride for this defense. They won that turnover battle. Roquan had the great fumble recovery for a touchdown. Beautiful play. Humphreys attempted an interception, went a little sideways, but that's one of those. I think Humphrey is a leader on this defense, and he took last week very personally. And so I think, unfortunately, this week, we were trying to do just a little too much. Just the slide and hit to Flacco could have been a penalty. We're trying to intercept the ball rather than just make sure the other team doesn't catch it, leading to their only touchdown, right? The second one only somewhat counts. So we're trying to do a little too much. Nate Wiggins interception, that was great. Seeing improvement. Next week will be a better test of, can we keep our heads on? Can we play 4 quarters? Special teams, Loop was perfect. All the extra points, all the field goals. It's a great game. Obviously, I think last week he had the one missed extra point. It's good to see that didn't get into his head. He didn't take the loss personally. He didn't let it, break him down any. Went out there, had a great game. Happy for him. Injuries coming out of the game. Rasheen Ali was taken out with a concussion on the opening snap. Hopefully he's okay. Kind of thought with his absence we would see a little more Keaton Mitchell. We didn't, but continue to see how that develops. And again, hopefully he clears concussion. I hope he sits out next week. Just rest, just heal. Van Noy also left the game with a hamstring injury. Harbaugh, in true Harbaugh fashion, refused to comment on the injuries, saying there was just nothing serious or season-ending, but rather at worst week to week. That's probably Van Noy, which is why I was kind of hoping, as Brendan said, maybe we would sign Clowney. It's okay. Mike Green, rookie, second-round pick, did step up in Van Noy's absence. He did make his presence felt. And Tavius Robinson, obviously having a good game, getting the strip sack from Flacco. So we're seeing other guys step up in his absence. Hopefully we continue to see that next week. Other injury comments. Ricard is taking longer than they had hoped. He is currently still week to week. Jair was a healthy but not healthy scratch this week. He was not on the injury report, but with the knee injury that he was dealing with, and then his performance in week 1, Harbaugh did decide to sit him this week, let him just get in practice time. Harbaugh says he could be playing as early as Monday, so we will keep an eye on that. As for players of the week, offensive player, it's really easy to pick Lamar, right? It's easy. So he didn't do it. I went with D-Hop because despite the snap count, despite what everybody says about him, what everybody thought, I'm going to be honest, what I thought going into the season, he is producing at a really high level. He is making very impactful plays, and he and Lamar seem to have a great connection. Obviously, he had the 1 touchdown catch and the one that I think should have been a touchdown, but they marked him down at like the 2-inch line, and then we fucked it up from there. So, because the offense is a problem.
Then skip Derrick Henry the ball.
Yes, he did not have a good game against the Browns.
I'm aware.
So, defensive player, I'm going to give to Nate Wiggins. He did have the 1 interception. He had kind of a rough week 1. They kind of exploited him that week. So this week he came out, had much better, did a lot better, got the interception, no penalties. We're seeing more of a physicality from him than we have, so that was exciting. It was a good game. Definitely things to build on, but there are definitely still some things to work on. When you beat up on bad teams like you're supposed to, it's hard for me to sit here and say the problems have been fixed. I know it's a division game. They usually beat the Browns at home, though. So that's why I'm not waving, the pom-poms just yet. Let's see it continue, and then I'll get excited. Couple of things right now. Since 2024, Lamar Jackson has 32 touchdown passes over 10-plus air yards. That is the most in the NFL, and it is 10 more than the next person in line, who I do believe is Josh Allen. So all of the questions, right, and all of the bullshit, is Lamar an elite passer? The answer is yes. Yes, he is. So just in case we were curious. Second thing, through 2 weeks, DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Welker rank number 1 and number 2 in PFF offensive grades among all NFL wide receivers. I think it's really their touchdown ratio to catch ratio that's fueling that, because they don't get used in any other sense, really. They make touchdown catches. That's what they do. That's how they're being utilized. So I'm not saying they haven't been great. I just think that number is a little skewed based off targets, yards, and then points. And it's a little skewed. But still,
PFF does not
something to be proud of.
PFF has their place.
Has their own shit going on. Final thoughts on the game. It was a good game. It was a good win. They needed the win. It was fun to watch. I think Lamar is playing at an elite level. I get surprised every year. I don't think he can get better, and yet he is. So, as long as the defense can keep their heads out of their asses, I think we'll be fine.
That would definitely help.
Couple of side news pieces. After I did my preview video, Roquan Smith reworked his contract for the year. All they did was take the majority of it and convert it into a signing bonus to free up about $9 million in cap space. He is up for a new contract, I believe, this year or next year. I do not believe this is a sign that he's going to go anywhere. He is an important piece on that defense. I do expect him to get a new contract. I just think it was to give some wiggle room going into the season. I've also seen, because we just can't fucking help ourselves, Shedeur Sanders reported that he asked the Ravens not to draft him. The team refused to comment on that. They don't talk about what happens upstairs, and they certainly don't talk about their draft room. They certainly are not going to talk about it several months after the fact. That was a question for EDC, post-draft, or don't bring it up. I don't know how true this is. I don't really give a shit. I didn't want him. I don't want to deal with him. And you're not going to start on this team. Like, they're not looking for a new quarterback. Maybe they need a backup. They change backups occasionally. Cool. If you want to start in the NFL, the Ravens is not the place to be. Because it doesn't even give you a chance to show what you can do outside of preseason.
Well,
so,
I mean, if we're going to
talk... Twice. In 8 years, twice.
He started more games than you think he did, Tyler Huntley.
Again, for 2 seasons, because Lamar was hurt twice.
I think it was
2 years.
I think he started more games than you think he has.
Twice. 2 years. He's been hurt.
How many games, though?
I don't know the number of games. I don't care the number of games. I'm telling you for 2 seasons.
The important thing is games.
Actively... the important thing is that to sign with the Ravens now, you are not actively going to start. That's the important thing.
But I still think going to the Ravens I think going to the Ravens is better than going to the Browns for his career.
You're more likely to start with the Browns.
I don't think that's the right move. Because I think at the end of the day, Lamar does take a lot of hits, and he has been hurt enough times that Tyler Huntley, I think, started 13 games.
Twice. He's been hurt twice.
But Tyler Huntley still started 13 games for the Ravens.
But there's still 2 injuries. In 8 years, 2 injuries.
Yes. I'm not saying that he's hurt a lot.
The Browns are cycling through quarterbacks like it's the fucking roulette.
I didn't say that Lamar was hurt every year. I said he's hurt enough that Tyler Huntley got 13 starts in his time with the Ravens.
I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough to draw you in when it's 2 injuries on 2 seasons.
But the fact that you watched a player get 13 starts, turn those 13 starts into a chance to start into a chance to start with the Dolphins. Now, don't get me wrong, Tyler Huntley didn't do well. I'm not saying Tyler Huntley is good.
He didn't have a chance to start with the Dolphins. He had a chance to win the backup position.
He started with the Dolphins for a couple of games. Because
Tua was hurt.
Yeah.
That's a backup.
Okay, you're a backup to one of the most injury-prone quarterbacks in the league. You're going to start. Tua's hurt every year. That one, I can tell you, Tua's hurt like damn near every year. But he still turned being a backup on the Ravens into doing better than I think Shedeur's going to do being a backup on the Browns.
Statistically, joining the Ravens will not give you the chance to start games and show that. That's what I'm saying. Numerically, 13 games out of 8 years of starting is not a lot. You're not going to be given the chance to show that.
I still think it's worth it to go to the Ravens rather than the Browns.
I don't really disagree with that, but then we're talking more about the fundamentals of each organization, not your likelihood of starting.
And I think your likelihood of starting shouldn't have played a decision in that. Shouldn't have played as much of a factor into that decision.
When you think you're better than you are, and when you think you're better than the entire NFL thinks, that's what fuels your decision.
And that's what I'm commenting on, is the fact that I think he should not have made that decision based off that.
I don't disagree with that. That I fundamentally agree with. I think if you want to learn how to be a quarterback, by all means, go to the Ravens.
And that's what I was trying to say, is his decision should have been to go to the Ravens.
If you're taking the decision based off of where am I most likely to get starts, That's not
No,
Baltimore.
you don't want to go to Baltimore for that. But you're still going to probably, at some point in time, get a start in Baltimore. At the end of the day, you're saying
The
two
other one?
seasons
So the other thing that gives him starts, so that was the other
is the
one.
fact that
That's the other
Lamar
one.
won't play at the end of the year because the Ravens are too
He
good.
won't play week 17. Yeah. Is you had the 2 years he was hurt, and he won't play at the end of the year. And that backup will get a lot of playing time in preseason.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And you're going to a team that actually knows what the fuck they're doing.
And that's a concept. I don't disagree with that notion at all.
So, yes.
And I think
I
a
agree
different
with
decision
you.
should have been
He's-
made based on what you want your career to be.
And I agree with you. He's not starting with the Ravens. He's not getting as many starts with the Ravens as he is with the Browns. Because I would not be surprised
Probably.
if he's not named starter next year or if he's not given more chances this year. But at the same time, in terms of what your career arc should be, you should have gone to the Ravens.
Or you should go on to a competent team that can deal with a quarterback.
But when you're like, what the report was the Ravens were going to draft him and you told them no, you shouldn't have said no.
Probably not.
But
Probably
whatever.
not.
I don't care. He's an idiot.
I don't care.
At this point.
This prompted a way larger debate than I expected. I don't care what happened. I didn't want him.
I didn't
I'm
want
glad he said no, or they didn't do it, or whatever the fuck happened.
Because now
unless EDC comments on it, I'm hesitant to believe everything that comes out of Shador's mouth. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense at this point.
it's a weird time for that to be coming out. Like, who cares?
Like, actually,
Like,
at this point, what's the difference? He's going to be sitting regardless. He's going to be where he is regardless.
And I'm going to be honest with you, right? Okay, hypothetically, the Ravens called third round.
It wasn't even that.
And went, hey, I'm throwing out a scenario here.
Well, the scenario that was brought up was they were going to take him like 4 picks before he was actually taken.
Okay.
This is what was part of the article. It was like in the 5th round still.
I think it doesn't work.
It was like you were 4 picks. That was the difference. It's not even like
it's a higher paycheck, so you definitely fucked up.
By
not a lot, but it is.
Picks. If it's the 3rd round and they call it, sure. I would have said...
Well, because that was my thought, was if they'd called in the 3rd round and you said no...
Then you're more of an idiot.
And that's probably why you dropped, because then it's not like those GMs don't talk to each other, right?
Yeah. EDC's not going...
So if EDC had talked to another GM and been like, yeah, I tried to call Shador and he told me to get fucked, then that GM's going to be like, well, you're stupid!
Like,
why would we take you when clearly
you're
not a very intelligent quarterback? You don't want to play in the NFL. You don't want to get better.
So, I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point. Like, I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know why we got into such a debate over this, of all things.
Because I was just trying to drop a little news and it turned into a whole thing. I don't care. I don't want him. Your problem. I think there's clear misconception about your talent level and what your role in the NFL is going to be. And I think that was the wrong move. So, good luck to you.
Yeah.
But I think saying no to the team that can and does develop quarterbacks, and I'm going to be honest with you, they put a lot of pride into black quarterbacks and have a black coach and all of those things, and that's something they take a lot of pride in. And to tell them no, but go to the team that drafted a quarterback 2 rounds before you, it's mildly insane.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't make sense. But
good luck to you and your career.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty much. So,
anyway, that does it for Ravens talk. Um,
yeah,
most unnecessary debate
ever.
on the planet.
But, we had it, so.
We did have it. No, because I do get your point of like,
I,
it's not like Huntley didn't get any start. It's not like Josh Allen's backup, right? Who like
yeah.
never fucking plays because Allen's got his whole I start every game even if my leg is falling off. But or there are teams like who's a good Mahomes. Mahomes is rarely genuinely hurt.
Yeah.
Lamar has dealt with injuries, oftentimes doesn't play
And
week 17. Like you are
I don't want to say he's
going
injured.
to get some starts. I guess in my brain I'm thinking of like
You're not
Joe
going
Burrow or
or
Tua, like quarterbacks that you're like Browning doesn't leave the Bengals for a reason.
yeah. So that one is weird, but I also understand it from the point of like Lamar takes a lot of hits,
Yeah,
so he's not injury prone, but I think his injury possibility.
risk is higher.
Yeah.
I don't know. He got up limping last week. I was scared. He was fine, but
Again,
I was scared.
I'm not saying, but I think like part of
But
it,
no, like I get what you're saying. When you're that mobile, when
and
you have had lower body injuries, and you
when your
do take
offensive
those
line's
hits,
not good,
no, it's not. No,
it
it's not.
it doesn't help.
I'm telling you, twice. I'll see if I can find the clip. He's just like,
Oh, I understand. There was a point in which Seattle
should
had the
I
same thing going on.
should I be doing something? I'm like, do
I think it makes.
anything. Even if you roll backwards towards Lamar and just like,
That's the thing that I don't understand is when you have a mobile
or
quarterback, just run somewhere, do
just run
something.
with him. Run with him. If you don't have a defender right in front of you, run with him. So if someone comes near him, you could be like, nah, bitch.
Yeah, that one doesn't make sense, but
You
whatever.
can even be like, do you want my jersey? Do you want to hold on to my jersey and we'll go that way?
Yeah, we'll run forward.
like,
I'll be your lead
do
blocker.
literally anything. But I'm scared that Lamar would have ran up to him, grabbed the back of his jersey, and Flele would have been like, what's going on? What do I do?
Yeah, well, have fun with that, I guess.
I'm not. Voorhees is not playing terribly.
I was there last year. It's fine. I understand the pain.
I was there last year too. Mine's not getting better.
Mine's at least improved a little bit. They're getting there. They're making the moves.
I think Garrett got him
on one that I saw. That
3 or 4 times. He had him a couple
that's-
times.
That seems right.
Garrett fucked up that backfield. And then, though, that was the thing. Quarter 4, right? Lamar lit it up. Garrett was on the sideline taking a knee going, I just need a minute.
Yeah.
Because he's like, if you ever tried to chase Lamar around back there, I just need like 5. And Lamar lit it up because Garrett was exhausted.
That's, I think, something. That's what doesn't make sense. It's with the Ravens' failures in the fourth quarter. Is when you have Lamar, you should be better in the fourth quarter. Because at that point, the defensive line should be at the tipping point.
The thing that I think happens, and the reverse happened this week. Usually the Ravens jump out to that lead early. And then the Ravens want to just kill clock. So offensively, they don't produce. And then the defense does what the other team's defense in theory is doing. They're exhausted. And they're frustrated, so they start with the penalties and the bullshit, and the other team's like, oh, points! And the Ravens offense has been like, we're just trying to kill the clock. Because they didn't have the lead they had this week, it was only 10 points. The offense never let up.
Yeah, I don't. The Ravens are just weird when it comes to that. I don't get it.
It's a weird team. It's a weird team. It's a hard. It's
You have fun.
We're doing what we can here. They beat the Browns, so
It's all you can ask for, I guess. I helped you out in your division. I beat the Steelers for you, if that makes you feel
you
better.
did. I appreciated that. I really wanted them to beat the Bengals, though. Like, why can't?
Yeah, I don't get that one.
It's fine. It's fine.
So,
It's fine.
well, we'll talk quickly about the Seahawks because I mentioned that we helped
Yeah,
the
let's talk about the
Ravens out.
Seahawks.
We helped the Ravens out. We beat the Steelers 31-17 in a game that I felt like was giving me more of a heart attack than it should have in the first half. And then the second half was kind of just all right. We figured it out. That first half, though, that had me a little worried. But yeah, Seahawks get the win, 31-17. Overall, it was a good game from the Seahawks. Offensively, they looked significantly better than last week. I felt like they got more people involved. They were running their identity looked more set. They were running play action under center. They were running the football pretty effectively with Kenneth Walker. They overall, I think, just had a significantly better game when it came to who they actually want to be. And where are... yeah, so it was a significantly better game than they had last week on offense. They played to their identity, which is what I wanted to see and what I talked about in my preview video. I will say, in my preview video, I did not predict the Seahawks would win this game. I think I said 17-10 in favor of the Steelers, and I had the Steelers score right. The Seahawks did just do better on offense than I thought they would. Again, they got more people involved. JSN definitely looks like a number one receiver. I know that was kind of a question mark coming into the season. Can JSN truly be the number one guy and be that guy for this offense? He can. That's back-to-back days with 100 yards. First day was 9 for 124. Today was 8 for 104. So, again, great games from him. Would like to see him get in the end zone, but as long as the Seahawks are scoring, I don't really care who does it. Cooper Kupp actually looked viable this week. Last week, I was a little worried that he was kind of past it with all those lower body injuries and just his age. Last week did not look good. I thought he looked old and slow. This week he looked better. He definitely still, I think, has lost a step from the years he was really good with the Rams. But he was finding the pockets of space and was showing that veteran receiver-esque skill of just finding the open area. And he converted a lot of third downs. He caught multiple third down catches. I think he went 7 for 90 on the day. So he had a good day. Pretty good day there for him, which I think was much needed for what the Seahawks were looking for this week. Also in the passing game, they hit plenty of targets. Like they hit JSN for 8, Kupp for 7. Torrey Horton had 2 catches and a touchdown. I thought that was great to see, especially the touchdown. Love that. Arroyo had 2 catches. Barner had 2 catches and a touchdown. And then they got Walker involved with 1 catch on the ground. So they definitely spread the ball better this week than it did last. And then, yeah, the touchdown catches for Barner and Horton were perfect. Love that. Love them spreading the ball around offensively. That was great. Run blocking was much improved. Walker got a TD on the ground, which that play was kind of fantastic. 3rd and 19, but it was 3rd and goal. 3rd and goal from the 19. It was just a kind of toss it to Walker, make the field goal easier, and he made it happen. He got the touchdown, so that was great. That was kind of the dagger to win the game, so love that. I thought the run blocking, again, was much improved from last week. I thought pass blocking, they're still doing all right. TJ Watt did get, I think the Steelers had like 2 sacks on the day. So not, but like when you have TJ Watt on the other side and Cam Hayward and that defensive line for the Steelers, who are scary as shit, a day they had, I think, was good enough. Um, I wish, again, the first half, I thought the Seahawks weren't great on offense. 7 points scored for the first time since week 14 of the 2023 season on their first drive of the game. So that was nice. And then they sucked the rest of the first half. 2 interceptions for Darnold. One of them, I think I'm going to put a little bit on Darnold. I think Jalen Ramsey did make a good play on the ball. I think Darnold's timing was a little off, and the ball was a little too inside for Kupp. But Jalen Ramsey did make a really good play on it, broke the route perfectly. Jalen Ramsey did, I think, time it well as well. So at the end of the day, I think Jalen Ramsey made a good play. I think Darnold could have made a better throw and a more on-time throw. So that was unfortunate. The second interception, this was, I think, the worst play of the game for the Seahawks. Not even in terms of it ended interception. I think it was just the whole thing, the play calling, the execution, all of it together. It's 4th and 1 in Steeler territory. It's a long field goal, and at this point, Myers had already missed one. So I understand maybe going for it. However, the Seahawks have done the tight end tush push. They put A.J. Bonner in to take the snap and run the tush push. And it's worked twice.
Ravens. It's the same as the Ravens.
Yeah, it's the same as
That's what they do.
the Chiefs will do a tight end. Like, a lot of teams, instead of their quarterback, do tight ends. The Eagles are one of the few that does the quarterback. Yeah, so they do A.J. Bonner, QB sneak. They're 2 for 2 on the season, and I think they've succeeded on every single one of them they've done this year, and that goes into the preseason. So you're 4th and 1, and you decide not to run that was a little baffling. And then they don't even run the football, which they had been doing well against the Steelers for most of the part. They run a bootleg play action that Cam Hayward just blew up from the beginning, gets a hand on it, tips it straight in the air, it's picked. It was very lucky for the Seahawks that it wasn't a pick six. So that wasn't good. That just overall play call I thought was terrible. I don't think it gave Darnold a chance, really. Like, Hayward was in his face instantly, and I don't think he really had a chance. And it was 4th and 1, so he had to make something happen. It's just unfortunate that it led to that.
Yeah.
So that sucks. But that was like the one play on offense that I was like, this is not it. Like, you've already succeeded once on the tush push. Why are we going away from it? Like, we see the Eagles, if they succeed, they keep going. Even if they don't succeed, they run that shit again. So it's,
yeah.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that we went away from it. But again, there was a lot more positives than negatives for the offense. The best play of the day, though, was Robbie Oots pancaking both linebackers at once, and one of them was Patrick Queen, which I think if Dallas watched that would make her laugh a little bit. But
it did.
Yeah, straight up put one of them on his ass into Patrick Queen, who then was put on his ass. It was chef's kiss. Probably my favorite play of the day. The most important Seahawks play, though, was on a bootleg for Darnold, in which I thought was very similar to the play they failed, but this one worked out better. Darnold bootlegs to the right, makes a perfect throw over a defender to Barner for the biggest third down conversion of the day. That third down conversion, I think, really kind of helped seal the deal for the Seahawks. I think that was the one that got them down there for the. It was the play to Barner, and then they hit JSN deep, and then they got the Kenneth Walker touchdown. So I think that whole drive was kind of the dagger in that third down conversion, I felt like was the kickstart to the dagger. So that was all good. Good performance from the offense. Still things to improve upon, but I think we're starting to see what this offense wants to be and what this identity of this offense is going to be. And that left me feeling much better than it did last week when I don't feel like we saw this identity and we saw this offense click. So good there. Defensively, I thought they played well. Steelers had 17 points. Two one touchdown allowed, but that was off that pick that I was talking about earlier, in which the Steelers had the ball at like the 20-yard line, almost instant red zone. So not great there. Allowed the touchdown to DK Metcalf, which kind of sucked, but DK did not have a good game. Had 2 drops, I think had 3 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, the touchdown was good. He caught it. It was a contested catch in the end zone. I've seen him drop that several times as a Seahawk fan, so good for him for actually catching it this time. But yeah, 1 touchdown allowed, I can live with. They were holding up to mostly field goals. So yeah, 1 touchdown. That offense could not do anything against this defense. I think it just looked really good, especially considering that Spoon and Emin did not play this week. So those are 2 key guys on that defense in that secondary. And I expect it to be good when they return. Those are 2 key contributors on that secondary. The defensive line, I thought, played out of their minds. They were making Rodgers' life hell. Murphy, I think, with the 1.5 sacks, was great. 5 tackles. He was fantastic. D-Law was great. Did have the one moment that was a little funny where Aaron Rodgers hit him with the Aaron Rodgers play fake and made him look a little stupid. Aaron Rodgers will do that. He's still good at that, man. Like, when
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers hits that play fake, there's not anybody better in the league at it. It was like Ben Roethlisberger with pump fakes.
Yeah.
There was nobody better, and he still got it. So it's unfortunate for D-Law, but at the end of the day, Rodgers is still, that's his calling card. Derek Hall had a great game. Had several pressures. I think the defensive line as a whole was just dominant, so that was great to see. In the secondary, I thought they played good. Josh Jobe continues to be absolutely shut down this year. I know we're only through 2 games, but in those 2 games, he's allowed 2 catches for 8 yards, no touchdowns, has an interception. He has been simply fantastic. He's been targeted 9 times. He's got 2 pass breakups. He's been incredible for the Seahawks right now. Just been absolutely shut down. So that's been great to see. And then Darion Kendrick, the dude they sniped from the Rams on the waiver, he had a good game. He did drop one of the easiest interceptions ever. I mean, Aaron Rodgers threw it to his face, and he let it bounce off his face mask. If he catches that, it's probably a pick 6. And then he comes back and catches a significantly harder pick in the end zone to prevent the Steelers from scoring. So that was great. Should have had 2 picks on the day. So that was good to see. He was coming in for Spoon to play the slot. So it was good to see him make some plays as a backup. Bryant had the other interception. It was thrown right to him. Rodgers was just trying to do something at the end of the game. It was kind of a garbage time interception. But it was still good to see. Ernest Jones continues to be, in my opinion, one of the most underrated linebackers in the league. He just continues to be flying around. Obviously, last week had the interception. This week led the team in tackles. He just seems to be severely underrated in terms of linebackers because he's never talked about as one of the better linebackers in the league. And I think he's starting to kind of prove that he is. And this defense is going to be really good this year. I think this is a top 5 defense when it's all said and done. They've looked great. I think once they're fully healthy, I think this defense will be a problem for the rest of the league. So that's really good to see that it's kind of continued from last year for McDonald. Obviously, that was his calling card coming in for Seattle, was the defense. So it's really good to see that they've made improvements, but they've also just kind of continued being who we thought they were. And then we don't do this often, but I feel it important to talk about the special teams. They deserve a shout out this week. Obviously, I did already say Jason Myers missed a field goal. It was like a 34-yarder. Not great. He did come back and then kick a 54-yarder. So he redeemed himself enough. And then I'll give him a ton of credit for the kickoff that led to the Seahawks kickoff touchdown. Not really even sure how to describe it. But he kicked it short, landed it in the landing zone, so between the 20 and goal line. And when it lands in that zone, the receiving team has to recover it or cover it up. If it lands in that zone, it is a live football unless it goes out of bounds or the receiving team recovers it. The receiving team did not recover this one. It went into the end zone, and the Seahawks fell on it. After a minute or after a couple seconds of debate, referee decided it was a touchdown. That would eventually stand due to the fact that it landed in the landing zone and no Steeler attempted to recover it. So that was really cool. George Holani is credited with the touchdown. This comes with the new rules with kickoffs from last year. Again, if the ball lands in the landing zone, the receiving team has to cover it up or recover it, and has to attempt to return it. They didn't. The Seahawks knew the rule and took full advantage of the fact that nobody went to the football for the Steelers. Just a play that cannot happen for the Steelers, and something that I think we've talked about, how maybe Tomlin's coaching has started to fall off a little bit. I think when we saw this, I understand that Tomlin isn't the special teams coordinator, but this is the second year with this new kickoff rule. You cannot be having mistakes like this that lead to touchdowns for the other team on something that is clearly defined within the rules. And again, this is the second year we're seeing this kickoff rule. You can't have mistakes like that. You have to know that the ball landed here, I have to recover it. And clearly that player for the Steelers didn't, because he watched the ball go behind him and then turned back towards the sideline to walk off the field while the Seahawks were recovering it for the touchdown. So I think that is a huge coaching problem there for the Steelers. But yeah, shout out to Jay Harbaugh, the son of Jim Harbaugh, for having that unit well coached. Because after the game, George Holani, who recovered it, who happens to be the Seahawks kick returner, was like, yeah, the minute I saw it land in the zone, I knew it was a live ball, and that is why he pretty much made a beeline to it and went straight for the recovery. So it's clearly taught in Seattle that is the case. So it's good to hear coaching work there. And then I have some other stats to back up that the Seahawks special teams has been better this year and has kind of quelled the concerns I had for them. Because I have said I had concerns for their special teams, but so far this year, in terms of coverage, they're second in kick return, 15th in punt return, 10th in punts inside the 20. In returns, they're 6th on kick returns, 9th on punt returns. They have a blocked field goal and then a coverage touchdown for a DVOA rank of 2nd. They have been pretty good special teams wise for the first 2 weeks. So it definitely did settle down my concerns for the special teams. So that's really good to see. Thought the special teams deserved the shout out because they did get the touchdown on a very weird play. First time we've ever seen this. So
Yeah.
shout out to them. Um,
Nice.
Beyond that, I mean, like, there's some other things to talk about with the Seahawks. Um, One of them is this team is performing really well. Um, in terms of explosive play rates, they're third in both offensive and defensive, which is great to see. Um, those are kind of what you want to see in terms of like to tell if an offense is great and a defense is great. Is an offense wants to generate explosive plays, a defense wants to limit them. And so far, the Seahawks are top three in both categories. So that's great to see. Um, in terms of pressure, I think the Seahawks lead the league in pressures generated from a defensive line, which is awesome. Um, they have a ton of the highest rated players in the league. Darnold is third among passers. JSN's eighth among receivers. K9's second among running backs. Cross is fourth amongst tackles. Bradford's 18th amongst guards. Leo is eighth amongst defensive tackles, and Job is 10th amongst corners. So that's all great. Um, and then a couple other things that I did mention this week in my preview was that Uchenna Nwosu and Jake Bobo were coming off injuries, and I was curious to see what their snap count was. Uchenna Nwosu got 16 snaps this week. I didn't think he'd get more than 10, so he did get significantly more. He got 6. So that was great. Great to see him back. Had 2 tackles. I don't think really did much in terms of like the actual game, but it was good to see him back out there. And then Jake Bobo had 18 snaps, 10 on offense, 8 on special teams. So it was good to see him back out there. I did expect him to have another limited snap count, so that was nice. Um, in terms of injuries, the only one that happened in the game was Jalen Sundell, the center, went out, and Olu Timi replaced him. After the game, McDonald said it was just cramping. Um, it was hot and humid in Pittsburgh, so that's not really surprising. I think because it was towards the end of the game, he went down with this cramp. They just felt it better to put Olu in. Olu is a very capable backup center, so that was fine. I didn't really see a noticeable difference in how the offense ran, so that was good. Um, but yeah, it seemed to be a pretty clean week for injuries, um, which is great. We don't we didn't want to see any injuries this week, so good to see that the Seahawks kind of escaped with no injuries. Um, and I did mention how I thought this week was significantly better in terms of their identity. Um, so last week they had 62% of their snaps out of shotgun compared to only 40% this week. I think that is kind of what we're going to see um, for the most part is under center is going to kind of take over this offense and shotgun is going to be lesser. It is nice to see though that it is 60-40 between under center and shotgun. I expect that to be more like 65-35 by the end of the year, but it is nice to see them still balanced, but favoring that under center play action style. Because I think that is going to be the Seahawks' identity this year, and I'm kind of hoping because of that we do see some success on offense. Um, but I think that was really all I wanted to talk about this week. I thought it was a great win. I think it's weird to say much needed win considering we're 2 weeks into the season, but I think this win kind of helps propel them in a much more positive direction. Whereas I think they lost this game being 0-2 to start the season, the negativity around that would be kind of tough. So, great win, much needed. And then next week, hopefully they continue this momentum. So, All's good there.
Slight note or addition. Mike Tomlin did report that Caleb Johnson probably won't be returning kickoffs next week. Look, it's easy to blame the player, right? Because that's what you see. It obviously was a snafu. There was a clear misunderstanding, though, in the rules, and that comes from the coaching staff. And this coaching staff has never been great with the details. So that was pretty clear. I thought y'all played really well. I am a little shocked at the state of the Steelers' defense.
Yeah, I thought the Seahawks did a lot better on the ground than I thought they were going to.
Yeah. To let the Jets put up 35 points, to let y'all run the ball down their throats the way you did, I'm just a little surprised.
I think we're starting to see...
Most expensive defense in the NFL, you'd think they'd be playing a little better, but I guess not.
I think we're starting to see the age of that most expensive defense. TJ Watt and Cam Hayward continue to be kind of game wreckers in terms of, like, they have their moments, TJ Watt especially. But
it's not the consistency that defense is used to.
Yeah. I think you mostly see it with Hayward right now. Hayward will have a play where, again, he creates the interception, but then a couple plays later, he's getting pushed off the ball, and the Seahawks are running it right down the middle. So it's tough there.
But I thought y'all played really well. I thought it was a good outing. I know this is more the identity you were kind of looking for and expecting. So I think to see it week 2 was a positive thing. And yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah. It was a much needed game for the Seahawks, but
yeah,
we will see where we go from here. Hopefully on the up from now on.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, then let's get into games of the week. I obviously picked Thursday Night Football, the Commanders and the Packers. Kind of said I thought this could be preview for the NFC Championship game. I'm going to respectfully retract that statement. The Packers are phenomenal. And they are, I think, we're probably going to talk about this game. I don't remember. I think that was your pick of the week. I don't remember. We're going to talk a little bit about the Eagles. I think right now, though, the Packers are the
favorites,
number one force in the NFC. And to get through them is going to be extremely difficult. The Commanders, I think, have taken a step back from last year. Their O-line isn't as tight. I think you can clearly see Terry McLaurin's absence from training camp. Obviously, Austin Eckler going down is a blow to that team offensively, especially because they made other roster decisions predicated on him being there. So now they have real holes. I do not like the term sophomore slump. That is not, I don't think that's what happens. I think teams have film on you. They see you more. They have a better understanding on how to defend against you.
And
I am not saying this in any sense to take away from what Jaden did last year. It was a phenomenal rookie year. And I think he will be and will continue to be a good to great quarterback in the NFL. However, some aspects of your game have been and are being exposed. And your rushing ability has become more predictable, and that limits this offense.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're struggling a little bit.
Also,
but the Packers offense is a hard one to contend with.
and I think it's also tough to start your year against the Giants' defensive line, which I think is one of the best defensive lines in football, period, with all the
Yeah,
talent they have, and then have to play Micah Parsons and
yeah.
a pretty solid defensive line that the Packers have as your first two games
Unfortunately,
of the year.
when you're a first place team,
You have to.
you get first place rewards. And that means playing a really tough schedule.
So I do
And
think
so I think they're a good team. I think he's a good quarterback. Obviously, hopefully the knee injury is not major and not a long-term injury. I know there were concerns when he was coming out of college with his size and build, that he would and his play style that there would be more injuries. And obviously he had the rib one last year. Now the knee. So hopefully, he can
thankfully,
make some changes.
based on everything, the knee does not seem too bad. Um,
Um, but the real story of that game is this is what we thought the Packers could be. That first year they made the playoffs, they were kind of the wonderkin of the NFL, and they're still very young. But then everyone thought, okay, the next year, and then Jordan Love gets hurt, and they never really get going. This year, you're seeing the best of Jordan Love. He's been healthy, and you're seeing a defense that was already good be elevated by Micah Parsons' presence. So the NFC, I think clearly right now, has an obvious number one. Obviously, it's still early. Obviously, it's still, it's week 2. Anything can happen.
we still
Um,
got 15 weeks.
but they are a great team.
Yeah,
They are a great team.
they look pretty
And
tough.
I think they're going to be hard to get through. They look very mature, very well rounded. I don't see any real obvious holes. Jordan Love is playing very well. And if you watch football passively, you might not realize it, but if you watch it analytically and more intently the way Brent and I do, just because Parsons doesn't get a sack does not mean his presence is not felt.
Yeah.
He is absolutely making an impact on that field.
Regardless of stats.
Yeah, of what his sack numbers say. The pressures he gets lead to other sacks. They lead to miscues and all kinds of things.
When you're when you're just demoralizing offensive linemen in the first second of a rep, it's tough because
it's tough to come back from that. Was a good game. Packers get the win, 27-18. Not quite as competitive as I thought it was going to be, but I think it would be hard to disagree with the Packers are, as of right now, the best team in football.
Through 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, like as of right now, with 2 weeks, they're the best team in football.
They're up there, so it's gonna be a fun time this year. I think it's gonna be really interesting. The other team in the NFC that I think can really challenge the Packers, but honestly, I don't know if we'll see it because they did not have a great game, is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I picked them and the Kansas City Chiefs as my game of the week. I went for the Super Bowl rematch, and this game did not go at all like the Super Bowl did. Other than the fact that the Eagles did win, they got to win 20-17, but this was a boring ass game. I'm gonna be frank, it was boring as shit. I don't know. It did not feel, especially the second half, neither team felt like they were doing well. And I think the stats say it all. I think both defenses played well. it was definitely a defensive battle. But Jalen Hurts barely passed for 100 yards. Had 101. Saquon at 88 on the ground and a touchdown. That's fine. And then you look at the Chiefs side. Patrick Mahomes only had 187 yards passing, a touchdown, and an interception. I will say the interception wasn't necessarily his fault. Um, I think
Not
Travis wants
particularly.
Travis Travis definitely wants that one back. Um, but I don't. This game just felt very lethargic the whole way. In terms of, we'll start with on the Chiefs side of things. The thing that's most concerning to me is the fact that Mahomes led your team in rushing yards. Mahomes is not a
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Daniels type athletic quarterback that you could like. For me, if I saw Lamar led the Ravens in rushing yards, I'd be like, okay, this week Lamar, they were trying to take away Henry, so Lamar had more
Yeah.
of the openings. If Allen has it, it's Allen doing Allen things. For Mahomes to lead your team in rushing yards with 66, and your next highest be Kareem Hunt with 31 is not a good thing. That's
No.
that's very bad. I, ever since Pacheco got hurt, he's looked awful. He's looked very bad since his injury last year. Um, Hopefully these things will change for the Chiefs. Um, from the Chiefs' perspective, because you're not going to win a ton of football games where Mahomes is your highest rusher. You're just not. In terms of pass catching, I think we're starting to see Kelsey kind of come down. And I think we're starting to see his age catch up with him. He's been very consistent for a long time in this league, and we're starting to see that consistency start to fall off. He's dropping passes that we're not seeing him usually drop. Obviously, the one that led to the interception hits him in the chest, is perfect. He should have a easy touchdown, and it hits him and bounces right to the defender. It should be a catch. Like, that is a catch Kelsey makes 9 times out of 10 2 years ago. But this year, and even last year, it just seems like it's finally starting to catch up with him, and we're kind of starting to see the fall off happen. And he
Yeah.
still led them in yards. Their next highest was Tyquan Thornton, who had the deep ball catch for the touchdown. So that was good, I guess, for them. But it's also like he had 2 catches, but one of them was a deep ball. So that's sure, but that's not going to continue. Marquise Brown didn't have a great game, and if this team's gonna
Tucker.
succeed, like, yeah, he had 5 catches on 5 targets, so he didn't drop the ball this time, which is rare for him. But only 30 yards. That's not great. Um, I think this team, in order for them to succeed, they need players to start stepping up. They need Pacheco and Kareem Hunt to step up in that running game, and then they definitely need Marquise Brown, Travis Kelsey, and Tyquan Thornton to kind of figure it out in the pass catching game. Um,
Yeah.
Defensively, I think they're fine. Like, they're still the Chiefs' defense. Chris Jones definitely had a rough game last week against the Chargers. I thought was kind of the reason the Chiefs lost this week. Kind of came back, was a little better. The lack of pressure the Chiefs are getting, though, is a little concerning. Their edge rushing is leaving a lot to be desired. Um, just hasn't been great there. Needs to be better. But I think we're just starting to see the success take its toll. We're starting to see a lot of people wanted money. They gave them money. They had to relinquish some other people to do that. Um, their draft picks have not been great in terms of like positioning. Like you're up in the third, like high 30, or you're up in the 30s. I think we're just starting to see they're not getting enough talent on this team to really challenge again like they have in the
Yeah.
past. Um, on the Eagles side, for having a really bad game offensively, they still did enough to win. Like, at the end of the day, you can't argue with that. Did they have a good game? Probably not. Their defense did enough, and the offense did just enough to get the win. And yeah, it was a lot of tush push, but it was working. So, until it's not, shut up.
Well,
And until someone can stop it,
we're going to see how that plays out now because
people are
that's
hitting.
been a whole thing.
Which, okay, someone showed it. There was this many people offside. They're not technically offside. And then someone was upset that the Eagles false started. The Chiefs technically false started first because the defensive lineman punched the ball, and then the Eagles went, and they just kept the play going. So it was like a mute point at that point. So it's
The commentary I'm seeing, right, is that this will now be the angle that gets it banned. Is the officials going, we can't officiate this because we can't see it very well. We just can't do it.
and if that's the case,
So rather
sure.
than the safety bullshit that didn't work and has no evidence,
The
I think the unfortunate thing was not last night, that game, and the number of times they ran it, because don't get me wrong, that did get old. It drew an unnecessary spotlight that the Eagles didn't want.
Yeah. So, again, Eagles did enough to win. I don't think they were great in this game. I don't even think they were good. But they did enough.
That's the Eagles thing, right?
Like, their defense played
That was the
well.
conversation. That was the fun conversation between Chris Jones and Jalen Hurts.
It was
right. I think we missed it. I think there's something we missed. I can't imagine that randomly Chris Jones just popped off at you only had 100 yards or you didn't even have 100 yards. And then Jalen's response was, well, we fucking won.
And
the Eagles have never cared how it looks. They don't care about Jalen Hurts. Not give shit about the stat line.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts had 100 yards passing, and
they want to win, and they win at a really high rate.
Had 100 yards passing and 15 yards on the ground, and yet, guess what?
Yeah.
They won. So
it's hard to argue with when they do win. They do win at a really high rate, and
even when they play, they're probably less than stellar football. They still win. So
they win. So maybe not the biggest thing to concern ourselves with. The thing that gives me that gives, in my mind, the Packers the edge
is the explosiveness of
that
team.
And maybe it's an eye test thing.
I think that's part of it.
The Packers look like a well-rounded, complete team. While the Eagles are winning, they do look vulnerable. So yeah. I think right now the Packers are leading the race. I do think the Eagles are still, right there. Good team. Obviously, I think it is a little telling that your last matchup with them, you destroyed them. This matchup, it's a 3-point game with Butker missing a field goal. So I think the Chiefs defense definitely rose to the occasion.
Yes.
And I'm not sure the Eagles had a new plan for that. As for the Chiefs, this is why dynasties don't last. It's easy, right, to go, well, Tom Brady had 20 years. There was a 10-year gap in the middle of that. He won some Super Bowls. Took him 10 years to get back.
Yeah.
And then he went to some again. I'm not saying that's going to be the Chiefs, but when you never really plummet, you never really get high draft picks. You have expensive, older players. We start to value loyalty over what's best for the team. Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends ever. I'm not denying that. Probably should have drafted a tight end.
Yeah.
He's getting older. They have an expiration date, especially when they're used at the rate that Travis Kelce, Gronk, Mark Andrews. When you're used, and the thing you have to remember also with Kelce is he was a Chief before Mahomes.
Yeah.
He had years with Alex Smith, and then he got Mahomes. He's just hitting that point. Tight ends, the great tight ends, their career comes up shorter than we think it should, or than we want it to, or even than they want it to.
And it's just their
We're
body
seeing the
takes
wear and tear.
so much more wear and tear than a lot of positions, but
And when on average you play an extra 3 games every season, that's a lot. It's a lot.
and he's playing through probably some significant injuries at times. So
yeah. So I'm not saying that you should be concerned, but this is the first time in Mahomes' career they started 0-2.
Yeah.
And
that division isn't
I
going to get
don't
easier.
think getting Rashee Rice back is going to be the answer to all of your problems.
It'll help. I think it'll
It'll
definitely.
help.
I don't think it'll answer
But
everything.
you still have to be able to run the ball.
That's, I think, the most concerning part right
and
now.
And Mahomes being your leading rusher, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Their lack of running game currently is a huge concern. Because...
And usually, Mahomes doesn't run a whole ton in the regular season. He tends to wait until the playoffs, which then make his injury risks go up.
Yeah.
So
this is going to be an interesting season.
It's going to be an interesting season.
The Chiefs are one. They need to figure some stuff out, and they need to figure it out quickly.
And I get it, right? You're being bailed out a little bit because the Broncos kind of look like crap. But the
Raiders are definitely struggling.
But the Chargers are over there fucking playing in force.
Yeah. Well.
So
we'll see.
Might be some things. Alrighty. Well, other thoughts on the week? Other games you wanted to discuss?
Definitely want to talk Broncos and Colts, because what the fuck are the Colts? Like, what are the Colts? That's really the question. Because last week, the Colts played the Dolphins, and they killed the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And we were like, all right, what does this say? Are the Dolphins bad, or are the Colts good? And I think our consensus, the conclusion we came to, the Dolphins are more bad than the Colts are good. And I still think that holds a little true, considering the Dolphins did lose this week to the Patriots.
Patriots?
But I think this Denver team has Bo Nix, who I thought was a great quarterback going into the year. I thought this offense would be performing well, and I thought this was going to be a top 5, top 3 defense.
Yeah.
And the Colts scored on every drive. Like they might just be field goals, but at the end of the day, you're scoring on every drive. Now again, it did take the Colts getting bailed out a little bit because I do think that penalty
Yeah.
on the field goal was a little bullshit, especially as a Seahawk fan, because last year when we lost to the Giants, now don't get me wrong, losing to the Giants last year sucked, and there was other problems, but we had a kick blocked because a player pushed down on our guy, on our long snapper, allowing for a player to jump over the line. So I'm just confused on why that was okay last year, and now it's not.
Now it's a problem. Yeah, especially because I watched the slow mo and I didn't really see the leverage the way they saw it.
Yeah, that one didn't make
I
sense.
I'm a little confused about what the Broncos are right now. They're struggling in
That's
ways I didn't quite expect.
yeah.
Um, Defensively, I expected better.
Like okay,
The Colts, the Colts are so weird right now.
like
Like,
against a Denver defense, like I said, that I thought would be top 5 to top 5 guaranteed.
yeah,
Daniel Jones did not turn the ball over, so 0 ints. Took 1 sack, had 316 passing yards. That's pretty good. 67%, 67.65 completion, pretty good. Jonathan Taylor, 25 carries, 165 yards. He was the only running back on that team to carry the ball well. The next rusher was Daniel Jones, 6 attempts, 2 yards, and a touchdown. And I'm pretty sure his 2 yards came on QB sneaks. So, how the for a defense of the Broncos caliber to allow over 480 yards of total offense, that's tough. You can't have that.
and it's not enough to be holding them to field goals,
And
especially when your offense isn't producing.
I think the problem is they didn't get a single stop.
Yeah,
They did
they
not
just kept.
force a single punt. They did not force a single turnover.
You're letting them score. You're letting them get points.
So
I
you might have held them, but
We talked about last year how long Sean Payton would be in Denver. If they don't get this turned around, I know they're 1-1.
but they did
But
not
you
have.
can't have the Chiefs collapsing and you not be in the running for the division. And right now they're not.
And they're 1-1, but their game against the Titans, who's not good, they're not going to be good this year. It's
No.
unfortunate, but the Titans are just not. They're in the rebuild. They're
Yeah.
smack dab in the middle of a rebuild, and that's fine. I think they're doing well. I think Cam Ward is going to be good. I think the other pieces they have, but the Broncos didn't play well in that game either.
No.
So
And now it's week 2. It's time. You're hitting the point of this is who you are.
and
One more bad game and this is who you are.
yeah, defensively, what they gave up can't happen. I'm pretty
That's
sure
ridiculous.
the Colts had over 130 yards of yards after the catch. I'm correct. They had 131 yards
That's
after the
crazy.
catch.
That's
Um,
crazy.
what's their I don't know if I can find yards. I can't find yards after
You're
contact.
lucky
But
that they only had 29 points. That's fucking crazy.
yeah, I'll give Denver credit. Once the Colts entered onto Denver's side of the field, the defense started to play better.
They stepped up. But you
They
have to get the turnovers and you have to get stops before they're into field goal range.
and only one sack on the day is not great. One
That's
sack,
not good
no
enough.
turnovers, nothing of that is not good enough. Like
That's crazy.
like for Denver, you need more explosive defensive plays. Um, that they just didn't get. So I don't know. I don't know if this is the Colts being good, if it's Denver maybe not being as good as we thought they would be. I'm unsure. But
Yeah.
as of now, the Colts are 2-0 and have not punted yet this year. So there's something to be said
So
for
it's
that.
weird. It's weird. Alrighty. Well, I want to talk about, and I hate that I'm saying this. I really do. Because I don't want to.
Okay.
But I want to talk Cowboys Giants.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was next.
What the fuck?
You know,
So if you didn't watch it, it ended 37-40
in overtime.
in overtime. Now, I fundamentally disagreed with the way we operated in overtime.
Yeah.
When the Cowboys got the ball back in their kicker's range, kick the fucking ball. Kick the ball. There was no reason to try and move it forward. He just kicked a 64-yard field goal that had room to spare.
Let's at least make it a little easier on the guy. I understand. I didn't.
It was like 54. Kick it.
I disagreed with the general going because I think on that I would have kicked it on that third down because I think at that point it was like it was 3rd and 4, and yeah, it was like a 54 yarder or something like that. I would have attempted it on that third down, and here's why: if something goes wrong, if the snap goes wrong, hold goes wrong, as long as you don't kick the ball and you just
You can get
fall on
another
it,
chance.
you get another chance. So I think
Yeah.
I personally would have probably at that point just kicked it.
Because at that point, they were all just fighting for their lives out there.
Yeah, it was.
I yell, right? I want them to play 4 quarters overtime. That's something else. I expect them to be tired.
They literally
This
played
was
the longest amount you could physically possible because the kick
yeah.
went up and time expired. So
Like it's too much. It's too long. You risk injuries. They're just exhausted. It was a really good game. I'm wondering where the Giants' defense is.
that's I think really the problem is.
Because
You know what the problem with this Giants defense is? They have a fantastic defensive line, and
they have no
then nobody
secondary.
else. So as long as you can keep the defensive line from hitting your quarterback like that, you're
And
gonna
I don't
succeed.
know who Dak Prescott's surgeon was for his hamstring. But he looks 5 years younger.
I'm gonna give Dak a ton
He's
of credit
running the ball like it's his second year in the league.
because
He is playing phenomenally. I think having George Pickens has definitely helped taking pressure off CD.
in this, I think it opens up the deep game too for them.
Yeah. Offensively, they're playing really well. We finally saw the Giants' offense kind of come alive. Finally saw Russell Wilson do something.
I think the problem is
Um,
what that offense came alive in is not going to be sustainable.
No.
Throwing
And
it
I
deep every play is not sustainable, and we saw that in overtime.
and I still think his job is very much at risk.
Yeah.
Because playing well is not going to be enough. They need wins.
Like, he was having a career day, threw for over four. Well, one, this offensive line's terrible, and they need a run game. That isn't
Yeah.
good enough. And then he had like 450 yards, and then he turns the ball over in overtime, which you just can't do.
Yeah. That final nail in the coffin was too much. You need a run game. Maybe would have helped if you had a great running back. Decent O-line. You do you, though. Despite the performance, still nobody's job is safe.
Yeah, no, not even kind of.
I do think there's maybe false, but more hope on the Cowboys. They clearly still need help defensively. But I do think we're seeing the best versions of Dak.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's true. I think Dak has been great to start this season.
Yeah.
Like no other way about it. He's been great. Um, I think the only other game I want to talk about was the Lions Bears game for several reasons. Okay, it's not just because of the Lions and the Bears. All right, it's not. There's a lot
Yeah.
to this game.
There
One,
was a lot to unpack.
one, the fact that the Vikings got demolished on Sunday Night Football. How bad are the Bears actually? Because they must suck. The fact that you lost to the Vikings, the Vikings look this bad.
Yeah, that's valid.
And someone said it. If you take away the fourth quarter against the Bears, the Vikings have the single worst offense in the NFL, bar none.
Yep.
If you take away the fourth quarter, and I think even with that fourth quarter, it's a little closer. But like, they're at least
Yeah.
not last. So this Bears team, I just there's so much wrong with it. It's unreal. I think my biggest problem right now with this Bears team, okay? You
Yeah.
brought in Johnson to be your you brought in Ben Johnson to be your saving grace on offense, and I'll give them this: they are putting up points at least. Caleb Williams doesn't look great. Went 9 for 30, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, but an interception. Was sacked 4 times. I think a lot of those sacks were him holding onto the ball too long, which was a problem. This run game, I think, has improved a little bit from last year. They're at least, able to kind of move the ball on the ground. Odunze looks good. That was a great game for him. But I think offensively, we are seeing still Caleb Williams go through these maturity struggles and these mental toughness struggles. And then I also think this team is just not well coached because we're seeing the mistakes that can't be made. We're seeing a lot of things go wrong. Offensively, they were fine but weren't great. They left a lot of points on the board. I felt like they left a lot of plays on the board, and I just felt like Ben Johnson got outcoached the whole way through this game. Because defensively, this Bears team is atrocious.
Yeah.
Allowing 52 points is atrocious. And for the Lions, I will say this is a bounce back game. I do think that this game shows you that the Packers are much better than people. I think that was just a tough opening for the Lions, getting Packers week 1, especially after everything. That was just tough for the Lions. I think this was a good bounce back game. I do find it absolutely fucking hilarious that at no point did the Lions go, we're going to back this down. I think
No.
the Lions went out there with the sole purpose of telling Ben Johnson to go fuck himself. So they ran up the score, especially when they're up like 40 something. It was what, 45-21, and they're fourth down and goal, and they go for it just to put up 50 points.
They
That's
they asked Ben Johnson about that in his post-game press conference, and he said, "What did you want them to do? They don't go for it on fourth down. They don't kick field goals." He did what he's supposed to do and what he's always done.
yeah. I'm not saying, but like
So
it is just
no, it's a little. Here were my thoughts. Football, the first 2 to 3 drives are scripted.
yeah.
Pretty much every play that the offense calls is a plan they had. When they talk about walkthrough, that's what they're talking about. Is they know exactly what they're going to call, and they play accordingly. Those first 3 drives are where Caleb really succeeds. In the scripted, pre-planned portions of football. Then comes, okay, the OC calls the game based off what's happening. The quarterback is supposed to listen and execute the play call. That seems to be where we're struggling.
Yeah.
Is once they get through the scripted, Caleb does not have the ability to make decisions in a timely fashion. And he doesn't make smart decisions. Rather than take the open throw, he wants the big, explosive, highlight reel play that isn't there, so we're scrambling around, not very well, I might add, getting sacked, throwing interceptions, incompletions, and the offense stalls. And then, when the offense looks like that, not saying the defense was good, but then the defense spends a lot of time on the field.
And I will
They
also
get
say,
tired. They
but
get
this
worn down. And then a significantly better offense
whoops their ass.
rips you apart.
And I don't think this defense played good anyway. They had no sacks, no turnovers.
No.
And they cannot cover the deep ball to save their life. That is very clear. They just can't. I don't know what it is. They just can't. I think Eberflus does deserve some more credit for how he had that defense playing when it looks like this. Because has not been good at all.
I heard a really good comparison the other day.
Okay.
I think when Ben Johnson took the Bears job, it was kind of like buying a house. And at first, when you're looking at the house, you think, okay, I have a couple little things to mess with. I got to fix the O-line. I got to tinker with the quarterback. And then you get in there and you realize, actually, the foundation is rotting out. And the electrical work is about to set somebody on fire. And once you actually get into the Bears, you realize they're a train wreck. throughout the whole thing. And so it's not so simple as fix the offensive line and tinker with the quarterback. You have a systemic problem.
Yeah.
And that cannot be fixed in 1 year. I'm not sure it can be fixed with this front office. You have real problems. I am also not convinced that Caleb Williams is a franchise quarterback.
I haven't
Because we
been.
are continuing to see the mentality problems. We are not seeing the ability to play off script. And I do not mean by making up whatever fucking play in our head we feel like. I mean by executing the play call to the best of our ability and moving the ball down the field. That does not mean playing Superman football when you're not Superman. Josh Allen can scramble in the backfield looking for the better play. Lamar can scramble around the backfield looking for a better play. You are not them. You have to play smart football to play also Superman football. They go hand in hand. If all Lamar and Josh Allen did was Superman football, they would not be good quarterbacks, and their teams would not constantly be the number one teams in the AFC.
They wouldn't be contenders.
They have to play smart football too.
Like
They
it's
just also have the ability to do all the extra shit.
to be Superman when being Superman is required of them.
You have to be able to do the extra the basic shit first, then do the Superman. And that's where the struggle is.
Yeah, I don't.
And he doesn't have the mentality to overcome when things go bad and to get back to the basics.
So yeah,
I'm not sure it's there.
I'm
And I don't know how many years you're supposed to give him.
yeah. I because of the problems, the style of problem it is, I think you have more leeway to give him more time because it is a grow like it's
You're
easier.
hoping you can grow.
Yeah, because it's not like you're teaching him fundamentals of football all over again in a way.
Yeah.
You're just hoping that as he matures as a human, he matures as a football player type thing. You know what I mean? Like because
I think
I think the
I think
immaturity and mental toughness is the problem,
yeah.
and that will probably come as you age, and then you're just hoping he develops it as he
I think
ages.
they actually got lucky with a really early bye week
Probably.
of hopefully you can take some time, really get into the details, and see how the rest of the season goes. But right now, it's not looking great.
Yeah. It's we'll see. It is also week 2, but
It's week two.
it's not been good. So
I will obviously talk more about it. Amazingly enough, that game does not concern me for next week. Um, because while my defense struggles, it's still better than that.
yeah, I forgot that you
So
played the Lions next week. So
I
that'll be
do,
fun.
in fact.
That's
And it's
cool.
a standalone primetime game.
Monday Night
So
Football.
I'll get to
Monday
watch it,
night.
not
That's cool.
just the replay.
Well, that's nice. I just get to watch all Seahawks games.
Yeah, well, fuck you. Um,
No. That's why it's nice being on the West Coast.
Alrighty. Well, any other thoughts, comments,
I
questions, concerns?
I don't have any for football, but I did,
Okay,
in fact, watch a random sport and have some random sport facts.
sounds good.
Um.
I do too.
Oh, cool. So the Premier Lacrosse League, which is the outdoor lacrosse league here in the United States, had their championship this week. This
Oh,
weekend.
nice.
So I watched that. It was between the Denver Outlaw and the New York Atlas. Um, Most of you all know we're from Denver originally,
Yep.
so we're a fan of Denver teams. I've been to several Outlaw games. Very fun, very entertaining. Love lacrosse. Played lacrosse going up. Um, love watching lacrosse when I can. This game was Sunday morning, so could watch a little bit of it prior to the Seahawks. Did watch most of it. Was a great game. Ended 14-13 in favor of New York. So really unfortunate. Outlaw don't get the win. It would have been their fourth in franchise history.
Yeah.
So kind of sucky, but they've been there, done that.
Yeah.
So unfortunate. Congrats to the Atlas on winning. I don't believe this is their first one. It's hard to tell because this
I don't
league
believe so.
disbanded and then it came back. It's a whole thing. I can't
Yeah.
really remember if in their franchise they have or not. I would not be surprised if they had. New York tends to be very good when it comes to lacrosse. It's just kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, really fun. Great game. Was competitive the whole way through. A 1-goal game. Obviously, can't really ask for much better than that. Um, it was super entertaining. Again, I love watching lacrosse, so it was just kind of fun to get back into that a little bit for the championship, and it was just a great game. So I had fun with that.
Nice. I did not catch any of it. I was keeping an eye on the score. The Outlaw are a great team, and they have been for a while. So a little unfortunate that they didn't get the win, but always exciting to see them in the finals. It's always exciting just to have love for other sports. Um,
Yeah, and they'll be back because it's
yeah,
just who they are. They're a great
yeah,
team with great players. They'll be back.
and they're run well. So
Yeah.
yeah. I did not watch lacrosse. I am still watching the Women's World Cup for rugby. They had their quarterfinals last weekend. The semifinals are this weekend. Semifinal matchups are going to be New Zealand versus Canada and France versus England. I kind of expect the final to be New Zealand and England. They're both very good teams, very physical, very capable. They have had great rugby teams for a very long time. But the quarterfinals were a lot of fun. France and Ireland kept it really close. That was the one I spent the majority of the time watching. It ended 18-13, unfortunately eliminating Ireland. But it was a great game and just great to see this sport moving forward. England kind of smacked the crap out of Scotland, so that was to be expected. Australia, who took USA's spot, does get eliminated by Canada. So congrats to Canada and congrats to these teams. And I'm excited to watch the semifinals this weekend. And yeah, my current expectation is finals matchup will be New Zealand and England, and that will be a great match. It's on Paramount Plus for anybody that wants to watch it. You do have to get up kind of early,
Yeah, that.
but yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a great sport to get into. We're
Cool.
seeing the growth of women's rugby. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Alrighty. Well then let's look ahead to next week. And talk who's coming up and our games of the week. Obviously, the Ravens play the Bills Ravens play the Lions at home at the bank Monday Night Football. I believe they're wearing all black, I don't actually know, though.
I guess we'll find out.
I will talk about that in the preview video when I have confirmation.
All right. And who is your game of the week?
This was hard. I really want the Colts to be my game of the week because I really just want to watch it. But I can't watch the Titans again. I can't do it.
Yeah, that's
so, um,
yeah, that's tough.
so I'm gonna pick the Rams and the Eagles.
Rams and
Um,
Eagles. Cool.
they play at 1 p.m. Eastern. Um, I haven't really gotten the chance to watch the Rams. I've seen a little bit, but not a full game. So I'm pretty excited to see what that looks like. Um, I I don't think they've played as well as maybe people were hoping going into the season. I think Stafford and offensively they have struggled. So I'm kind of curious to see how those two teams match up together. Obviously, I don't want to say concerns about the Eagles because that would require me to care. But we're going to see if they can pull out the win and what the Rams do. I also want a better look at Devontae Adams as a Ram, and I haven't seen that yet. So that is going to be my game of the week.
Okay. Obviously, the Seahawks are taking on the New Orleans Saints at home. That game is going to be 105 Pacific, 405 Eastern. Um, should be a pretty easy game for the Seahawks, but we'll get more into that on the preview. For my game of the week, I'm struggling to decide, so I'm going to keep it easy. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers. Yes, both teams in my division. The reason I'm doing this is the Seahawks then play the Cardinals on a short week next week for Thursday Night Football. So kind of want to see what the Cardinals are about. Get a look at them prior to the Thursday night game. So yeah, that game is at 1:25. So unfortunate that both games are going on at the same time, but I think it's just the best choice considering that all the other games suck.
Yeah,
it's not.
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's not a great matchup week. Even the primetime games are kind of crap.
Yeah,
Like Ravens Lions will be great, right?
Sunday Night Football is ass, like just complete hot garbage.
Yeah, Chiefs Giants. Like who put the fucking Giants in primetime?
And then
whose brilliant ass idea was that?
Thursday Night
And then
Football is going to be a
Bills?
murdering of the Dolphins. Yeah, it's just not good.
Like who picked this?
This week just kind of sucks because I feel like it's a lot of teams that there's going to be a ton of blowouts.
Yeah.
And then there's like the other ones that are just like meh.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest, there are very few good games this week.
Upcoming week. So unfortunate, but
and especially when you have like potentially like a bunch of backups playing, I don't have a ton of faith.
Like Minnesota, Cincinnati would have been good if other people were playing.
The sneaky, potentially good game, if they can pull their heads up out of their asses, is Broncos Chargers.
Yeah, it would be.
But the Broncos have to perform up to their capability, and I'm not convinced that's going to happen.
Yeah. So this week we're just playing it simple, taking a page out of Dallas's book and picking the Cardinals and the 49ers. It's unfortunate. Don't really want to have to watch a division game, but I'm going to. So
yeah, I'm hoping that Rams Eagles is going to be a good game.
All right. Well, we are going to cover the entirety of the NFC West next week. Then that's great. Cool. I mean, it is what it is. Next week should still be fun. Obviously, check out our previews that are going to come out this week for the Saints and Seahawks game and the Ravens Lions game. Those will both be out this weekend. So check those out. Come back next week to get our reactions to all the games and hear about our games of the week in full. And whatever else happens between now and then, we will cover then. So thank y'all for joining us. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you thought of week 2. How are your teams doing? Are you concerned for the season? Optimistic? Kind of in between? Let us know. Always fun to hear from other teams on how they feel their season's going so far. So yeah, let us know. But all that being said, this has been Floss Next Podcast. Thank y'all for joining. I've been Brendan.
And I've been Dallas.
Thank you.